Hi, I'm Richard Rogers, and I absolutely hope that you enjoy today's spiritual message. You know, we at Unity of Phoenix Spiritual Center are committed to helping people live better lives. We're going to provide you tools over and over, spiritual tools that allow you to live your best possible life. And if you want to leave a donation to continue to allow the work that we do to support other people just like you, we say thank you. Thank you for your generosity, because this ministry is committed to making the world a better place. Okay, so do we live in an infinite universe? Wait, I'm going to cough. Will you turn me off? So do we live in an infinite universe? Do you believe that, or do you just think you believe that? So we live in an infinite universe, right? So how do we manage living in an infinite universe? Right? How many of you go to work every day, if you go to work or go to shopping, and go to a different way to work every day? Anybody? How many of you go to a different grocery store every day? So you've never been to the same grocery store in the Phoenix area more than once. Right? Have you ever gone to a new grocery store? Do you like a new grocery store, or do you hate a new grocery store? How many of you really don't like a new grocery store because you don't know where anything is? Right? So one of the ways that we handle the infinite is to incredibly minimize it into smaller units. Is that true? Because we don't like actually living in an infinite universe. Like, anybody been to the Cheesecake Factory? Cheesecake Factory, last time I was there, 16 pages to their menu. 16, did I say that? 16 pages. I like a restaurant that has the prefix. You know, like, this is what we are serving tonight. This is the wine that goes with it. You get to make no choices, and you pay me $75. And I think they're really clear. Like, this is actually relaxing, because I don't have to make one choice through the whole meal, other than maybe, do I want one thing? They just kind of throw me a bone, right? So we live in an infinite universe, and we minimize it to such a degree that we get frustrated when we're not having enough. And in fact, we minimize it to such a degree that we actually think there's not enough. Is that true? Have you ever believed there wasn't enough? In an infinite universe, we minimize it so much so that we don't have to make choices, that we live the same day over and over and over again, because we begin to believe that that's the only choice. But it's an infinite universe. We can go to any grocery store we want. We can go to any place we want. We could go every day a different direction. Every day we could go take another path to work and home. We can do it any way we want, but we begin to make choices, and we begin to build habits to simplify our life, until we don't even realize anymore that those were choices. And what we want to talk about tonight is the habits that we have that either are or are not making us happy. Because if the habit you're doing is making you happy, fabulous. But if the habit has become so routine that it doesn't really support you who you are today, right? But you feel trapped in your own habit, then that's not really helpful. And if we're going to talk about happiness, there has to be a point where we actually look at our habits to say, does this habit make sense? Can everybody think of maybe 5 or 6 habits that you have that really aren't working for you, but you keep doing them anyway? Anybody like maybe watch more TV than they really should, or eat more than they really should, or have any addiction issues that they really shouldn't have? Any of those things that may or may not be really working for you, but it's a habit, and once it's a habit, we just do it from the part of our brain that we just go unconscious. So what would happen today if you were consciously choosing habits that made you happy? And can you imagine actually reworking some of your habits so that you got to be happier? And I keep coming back to, because we live in an infinite universe. So do you have permission to have the same day every day? Every day. You have permission to have the same day every day until the day you die. And not vary with it 1 ounce. You could eat the same thing. You could get up at the same moment. You could drive the same car. You could go to the same places. You could talk to the same people. You could live the same day over and over and over again until you die. Or you could make a new choice. And go make a new choice that would actually create a new habit that may, just might, actually make you happier. So tonight's all about reworking, or at least becoming conscious of our habits so that we can be happier. Just off the top of your head, can you think of maybe one habit that you have that really isn't working for you? Right? Just one, right? Now, can you imagine, because one of the premises, we've been using this book, The Happiness Advantage, one of the things that he talks about in this is, he is an example of the remote control. One of the habits that he wanted to break was how many hours he spends watching TV each week, right? So what he chose to do was to leave the remote control in the same spot that it always is, but he would take the batteries out and hide them in a drawer. Now, if you're hiding the batteries in the drawer, do you know where they are? It's like hiding your own Easter eggs, right? It's really not that much of a contest, right? You actually know where they are in the drawer. You know what drawer they're in. But he would put the remote control back in the same spot that it always was. And every time he'd pick up the remote control, right? And he said, and you can imagine this. We would all do this. He would hit the button 3 or 4 times. And then he would realize, oh, it's never going to work, right? Because there's batteries in there. Now I have a choice. I can either get up off the couch, go across the house, into my office, into my desk, open the drawer, fiddle around till I find the batteries, then walk back and put the batteries away, back inside, turn on the TV, or I could actually pick up a book that I've put right in front of me. Or I could pick up my guitar. That he wanted to actually begin to have habits that supported the life that he wanted to live. And he realized that TV was not always helpful. So what he talks about in this chapter is the 20-second rule. That what you want to do is move whatever the habit is 20 seconds further away than the thing that you want to replace it with, right? It's kind of like, have you ever gone on an email list, right? And it's actually more work to get off the email list than it is. So we just delete the emails and we never really get off the list. We just get the list over and over again and then we just kind of trash them or whatever, right? Because the mindset is that we have this part of us that is lazy. Can I say that out loud? We have this part of us that's lazy, right? So if we make the thing that we want to do a little bit harder, right? How many of you have heard of the idea of freezing your credit cards? Right? That if you freeze your credit cards, do you still have access to them? Are they still in your freezer? Now, maybe if you get really clever, you go put them in your neighbor's freezer, and so then you have to go knock on your neighbor's door and say, will you give me that glass that I gave you that has my credit cards in it because I need to thaw them out because there's really something I want to spend money on. But if you put your credit cards in the freezer and you put them in ice, or you put them in water, and then you put them in the freezer, it takes you a bit of time to thaw them out. So it makes it more, unless you've memorized it because you're so smart that you've just memorized your numbers. But over and over again, what the premise is, the 20-second rule is that we actually want to move the things we don't want to do at least 20 seconds away from us and put the things that we want to do right in front of us so that over and over again, the easiest thing to do is the thing in front of us. Over and over and over again, we want to put the easiest thing that we want to do in front of us, and the thing that we don't want to do, we want to put it 20 seconds away. Now, is that manipulative? Yes, right? But if it's for your own happiness, do you have permission to create a life that moves your happiness forward? Yes. Okay, happiness advantage. In general, Americans actually find free time more difficult to enjoy than work. If that sounds ridiculous, consider this. For the most part, our jobs require us to use our skills, engage our mind, and pursue goals. All these things have been shown to contribute to happiness. Of course, leisure activities can do that too, but because they're not required of us, there is no leisure boss leaning over our shoulder on Sunday morning telling us, other than you have to be here, telling us that we better be to the museum by 9 a.m. sharp. We often find it difficult to muster the energy necessary to actually have an enjoyable day off. Have you ever wasted a day off? Have you ever binge-watched a whole weekend of things on like TV that you didn't really want to watch, but once you got into it, it was like you weren't leaving. And now that they deliver food, you actually, other than going to the bathroom, you actually don't have to get off your couch for hours and hours at the time until your legs have gone numb from that one spring that you haven't ever fixed, right? One of the things I realized many years ago is that when I go on vacation, because I was such a high type A personality, is that I had to have a vacation goal. Have you ever had a vacation goal? I had to have a vacation goal. So that meant either the amount of exercise I was going to get on that vacation, I had to have a vacation goal. So one vacation, my goal was that I wanted to hike from Estes Park, Colorado, over to Grand Lake. And it was about a 20-mile hike that I wanted to do. And I had to prepare, so we were going to be there 3 weeks. And I had to prepare because the altitude is significantly different than in the valley. Then I spent the whole vacation, so the last few days of the vacation, I hiked over the Continental Divide from Estes Park over the Continental Divide to Grand Lake. Because what I found was that if I didn't have a goal, I was a little cranky for others. Right? That you can't take a hard type A personality and make them go on vacation without a challenge. Right? So over and over again, what I want you to see tonight is that who's the creator of your destiny? That your destiny is created by the things that you commit to as habits. And your habits are the thing that actually boil down the infinite into bite-sized nuggets. So the way you drive to work, the way you get dressed, the way you take a shower, the way you brush your teeth, every bit of that is a habit that you've established. And what I want to ask, or what I want to challenge you on, are those ways that you live your life, are the basic building blocks of your life truly making you happy? Because if they aren't, then let's make a shift. Okay? Let's actually make the things that you want closer and easier than ever before. One of the ideas that he gave in the book is this idea that you could actually go to bed in your workout clothes. Like, if you go to bed in your workout clothes, like, not that anybody would really want to see you while you're working out the next morning, right? But if you go to bed in your workout clothes, it's one less step you have to take between getting from your bed to where you work out in the morning, right? You're making it easier. Now, if you leave your shoes on when you go to bed, it actually makes it easier. And if you sleep in your car, now you're halfway there, right? Right? So over and over again, what he says is that it's always 20 seconds. That all you need is 20 seconds. If everything that you want to be doing is 20 seconds closer, everything gets easier. So give me one, just in your mind right now, one way that you could reorganize one aspect of your life to make it easier, to make it closer. I want to give you 10. Okay? I want to give you 10 ways, 10 habits that happy people have incorporated. Some of them I've given to you before, but I want to give you 10 happy habits that can actually move your life forward and increase the happiness in your life. Okay, number one is to slow down and appreciate the little pleasures, the little moments, right? That over and over again, what we find, in fact, we're going to really talk about this on the 8th week when we talk about celebration, that happiness is actually something that you have to train your mind to enjoy, right? Because your mind is actually designed to keep the saber-toothed tigers away from you. Does that make sense? That your mind actually wants to avoid conflict. So you actually have to train it to enjoy the little moments. So the number one thing is take time every day to just breathe fresh air, step outside, enjoy the rainstorms, enjoy the little moments, enjoy the flowers, enjoy the trees, enjoy the little moments. That's number one. The second habit that happy people tend to use is exercise. They move at least 10 minutes a day. There is a neurotransmitter called GABA that's in your brain that soothes you, that keeps your impulses under control, that actually makes you happier. And it takes 10 minutes of exercise to release this neurotransmitter, and this neurotransmitter actually moves your happiness up. 3, people that are happy have the habit oftentimes of spending money on others. That there's quite a bit of research that shows that when you're spending money on others, it actually makes you happier than spending money around yourself. 4, happy people have a habit of surrounding themselves with other happy people. Like, anybody have a downer friend? Right? And I'm not saying you need to clear out all your downer friends, but I am going to challenge you how much time you spend with your downer friends. Right? Because when you're hanging out with your downer friends, does your energy go up or does it go down? It goes down, right? And when you're hanging out with your downer friends and you're happy, does it rub off? Not usually. It usually just annoys them. Right? Because they're committed to you joining them in their level of unhappiness. And when you don't want to play, they just feel frustrated and disappointed. Right? It's like, what happened to you? You've changed. You're not that same depressed person that I used to know and love. Right? So hanging around with happy people. 5, we've talked about, is staying positive. 6, and this is one that's incredibly important, it's getting enough sleep. That there's actually, sleep actually recharges you. It removes toxic proteins out of your biology, out of your body, out of your system. It changes the neurotransmitters in your brain that when you don't get enough sleep, it is very difficult for you to be happy. Has anybody ever been tired and cranky at the same time? We all have. From the point we were 2, we've been tired and cranky, right? So when we get enough sleep, it increases our level of happiness. Deep conversations. Deep conversations have the ability to make us happy because we feel like somebody gets us, somebody understands us, somebody knows where we are. 8, helping others for the same reason spending money on others. It actually, there's a chemical in our brain that's actually like an OxyContin, that actually, like a serotonin, it actually releases chemicals in our brain. Helping others actually makes us happier. 9, and we've talked about this, they make an effort to stay, people that are happy make an effort to stay happy. One of the radical shifts in my understanding of this is that I used to believe that happy people were born that way. Right? That this is just the way they are. And those of us that weren't as happy as them, it was just our lot in life to be wherever we are. But the reality is that happy people make a choice over and over and over again to be happy. They are committed to being happy. And they have to make that choice over and over and over again. They make an effort to be happy. And 10, they have the growth mindset. We talked about that as well during this series. That the growth mindset is really about us. Some of us believe that we should already know, and that's the fixed mindset. The growth mindset is that you can learn, you can grow, you can expand, you can become new. Did anybody see the story about Leah Holland King? Let's put her picture up there. Can we put her picture up there? Can you see it? Now, do you know what? Did you hear the story about her? She was in Scotland last week, and they have a competition there, and I want to make sure I kind of butcher it sufficiently, let me just read it. Leah Holland competed in the Ultimate Strength Challenge last weekend in front of hundreds of people in Aberdeenshire. With the granite boulders are so heavy, so tough to raise that most people don't even try. They're the ultimate, or called stones. They're the ultimate stones, and the winner lifted those stones 65 times. And those stones together weigh 732 pounds. And that 29-year-old woman, Leah Holland Keane, was the first woman in 40 years to lift those stones. 40 years, right? So her mom and her stepdad traveled from Australia to Scotland because they wanted to compete. They wanted to see if they could do it. She was just going along with the ride last year. And last year, because that's what they do as a family, they do these strength competitions. Last year as a family, they competed, and she was able to move the stone. And she was able to not quite get it up, but to move it enough that she knew that she could lift it. So all year, for the last year, she's been in training to lift these stones. Now, they showed pictures of some of the men that didn't lift these stones. And these guys are monsters. I mean, these guys, they got arms. They're monsters, right? They didn't lift the stones because there's two of them. You have to lift both of them, and you have to hold them for a certain amount of time before the lift actually counts. And she actually, did I mention seven? It's like 3 times her body weight, almost 4 times her body weight. She lifted these things up, and for the first woman in 40 years to do it, and she said, I'm usually nervous. She said, by and large, I'm a nervous person. But she said, I knew that I wasn't supposed to do this. I had seen men that looked much stronger than me not be able to do it. So she put on this mindset that she had nothing to lose. That last year she was able to kind of lift the stones just a bit, not really get it, but to move them enough that she knew that she worked really hard. She believed that she could do it. And she said, most of lifting these stones is just mental. It's just mental. You have to just decide that you're going to do it. And she said, I got there, and there was just this deep calm that came over me. I got to the stones, and I just got calm. And she lifted them. First woman in 40 years. 40 years. Did I say 40 years? She's the first woman in 40 years to lift those bad boys off the ground. So what I want us to look at today is our mind can be our greatest advocate for happiness, or it can be our greatest problem. And most of our life has been boiled down to habits that we do over and over again until they become unconscious. But the reality is that much of the life and much of the way you're living your life, I'm not sure is making you giggly happy. And if it's really not making you giggly happy, and because it's a habit that you actually created to simplify your life, we can actually undo it. And it's a pretty simple process. Those are the things that you want to do that really support your life and make you happier. We want those to be closer to you. So if you want to eat more greens, We want them cut up in the refrigerator so that they jump out much faster than the cake in the back, right? We want a 20-second difference, right? Basically because we're lazy. And whatever is in the first 20 seconds is what we choose. It's crazy, but it's true. So what's the easiest way for you to build new habits that expand your life, right? So in my office at home, I have a TV set, right? And I heard his thing about how much TV, and sometimes during my day, I'll have the TV on with the volume off, but the TV will be on, and I'll just be kind of watching. And so as I've been reading this book, I've been really paying attention to actually how much time I actually have, that I'm actually watching TV with the sound, no sound, but I'm actually watching TV. Does anybody else do that, or is that just crazy me, right? So the TV's on. So what I did was, when I want to intentionally watch TV, I've now moved the remote control to the filing cabinet at the other end of the room, right? So if I want to watch TV, I actually have to stand myself up, go around the desk, open the file cabinet. To the back of the file cabinet is the remote. I pick whatever channel I want. Then I put the remote back. I shut the door. I walk back around. So guess how many times a day I'm going to do that? Not many, right? It's just not worth it, right? Because I actually am more committed to getting my work done than I am to watch whatever news is on TV, right? It's changed my life. But I don't want you to try to change everything tonight. Tonight, I want you to pick one thing, one new habit that would make you radically happy. Whatever that is, one. Pick one. And I want you to move it 20 seconds closer to you, right? What he did when he actually bought, the author, actually bought a guitar stand. Because he noticed that his guitar was in the closet, and if he had to actually get up, walk across the room to the closet, get the guitar out, open the case, he would never play it. There were too many steps. So he spent whatever it was, a couple bucks. He got one of those guitar stands, so the guitar was right in the center of the room. It was actually closer than anything else. And what he began to notice was, within the first month, he played the guitar every day from the month before, when he only did it 4 times. Is that how you build a new habit? It is. What's one new thing that you can move 20 seconds closer to you? One. What's one new thing that you can move 20 seconds further away? And over and over and over again, that 20 seconds changes lives. It does. That if we don't buy that outfit in the first 20 seconds, the chances are we're not going to buy the outfit. If we don't eat that piece of cake in that 20 seconds, the chances are we're still going to eat the cake. No, we're not. Right? That's the thing. It's like we want it to be 20 seconds away, so we have to make a conscious choice to go get it when it would be easier not to do it. Are you with me on this one? What's one? Just give me one this week. Give me one thing that you're going to move away and one thing that you're going to move closer. One thing that's going to become easier for you to do over and over again, and one thing that's going to be harder for you to do over and over again. And watch as just one thing at a time, moving things closer, and sorry, I was a little dyslexic right there. Closer and further away, right? Over and over again. Will you pray with me? I want you to open your mind, your heart, your soul to the activity of God. That tonight it is all about our happiness and building habits of happiness, making choices out of the infinite. In the name and through the power of the living Christ, We use the wisdom of our soul to create a different life. And so it is. Amen.